So this is going to be the ultimate virtual assistant course for complete beginners, because in this video I'm going to take you from the very beginning of what is a virtual assistant, who can become a virtual assistant, what do you need in order to start virtual assistants, how can you get started, where to find client, and of course how to get paid. And I am not only going to give you the information, I am also going to give you some helpful resources that are going to help you as a complete beginner get started the right way. If this is your first time here, my name is Sadiq Umar. I am a full-time virtual assistant living in Nigeria, and this video is going to be based on my personal experience of starting freelancing and becoming a full-time virtual assistant. So without any more delay, let's get started. So what is a virtual assistant? A virtual assistant is just an individual offering administrative support services to clients remotely in a remote location, usually from your own home. Let me give you an example. If you apply for a job for an administrative assistant position in a company, they call you for an interview, you go to the interview. If you pass the interview, they offer you an employment and they give you an office. You start going to the office to work for them. You as a virtual assistant, it works similarly but with major differences. You as a virtual assistant, you still have an interview with a client. If they hire you, then you start working for them, but in your own office, that is your home usually, and using your own working tools. So who can become a virtual assistant? Anyone can become a virtual assistant if they have the willingness to learn and if they have a capability of learning. Because working as a virtual assistant, everybody who gets started as a virtual assistant, nobody really gets started knowing all the things that are needed to become a virtual assistant. Even if you work for 10 years as an administrative assistant in an office, then if you want to become a virtual assistant, there are a lot of things are going to be very new to you. So nobody gets started knowing how it works. And the only thing required is ability to learn and willingness to learn. Really, if you are willing to learn, then even if you don't know anything right now, then you can learn. And by watching this video, you are taking the first step to getting started. So congratulations. Okay, now that we know everyone can become a virtual assistant, what do you need in order to get started? And this is also very easy. You only need two things to get started. You need a computer and access to internet. If you have a computer and access to internet, then you have all the tools you need to get started as a virtual assistant. Of course, there are skills, there are tools, there are many other online software related stuff, but in terms of the hardware things that you need to get started, it's just a computer and internet connection. Many people ask me, can I start virtual assistant using my phone? And I don't think you can really become a virtual assistant using only your phone. You need to have a computer in order to become a virtual assistant. You can deliver some freelancing services using your mobile phone, but virtual assistants, you do need a computer to do that, because virtual assistant involve doing several things, not just one single task. So you need a computer to do that. Okay, why should you even become a virtual assistant? What are the benefits of being a virtual assistant instead of getting a full-time job? There are three major benefits of being a virtual assistant compared to getting a full-time job. And the first one is freedom. As a virtual assistant, you have the freedom to choose the client you work with. You have the freedom to choose the type of task, the type of work you do for the client. And you have the freedom to work from anywhere you want, from anywhere in the world. And another major benefit is the earning potential. If you start virtual assistants and you become a successful virtual assistant, then the amount of money you can make in virtual assistant is going to be really hard to find one single company that can afford to pay you what virtual assistants can pay you if you become a successful virtual assistant. And another major benefit is flexibility. As a virtual assistant, you have the flexibility of working when you want to work. If you are a full-time employee, you have to be at the office by 8 or 9 a.m. and you have to close by 5 or 6 depending on the type of work you do. But as a virtual assistant, you can choose to work only in the morning, you can choose to work in the evening, you can choose to work in the afternoon, you can choose to work in the middle of the night if that suits you. So this flexibility is one of the major benefits of becoming a virtual assistant. And another bonus benefit of becoming a virtual assistant is you have a job security. If you are working as a full-time employer, then if for whatever reason you lost that job, then it's going to be trouble finding another job. And it might be, depending on how you lost that job, it is going to be hard for you probably to find another job. But if you are working as a virtual assistant, if you build credibility as a virtual assistant, then losing a job is really not an issue, because if you lost one client, it is going to be very easy to find another client. So job security is one of the benefits. Personally, it's one of the major benefits of being a virtual assistant. Okay, now that we get this out of the way, how can you get started? How can you become a virtual assistant as a complete beginner with no experience and no previous skills? Okay, the very first step is have your working tools ready. As we talk about, the working tools is computer and internet connection. Any type of computer, you can use any type of computer to become a virtual assistant. When I started my career in 2019, I started as a freelancer, not virtual assistant. The computer that I have, I bought it, I think, around 20,000 naira. That is not new, and is a Lenovo's very small computer. It ran on Windows 8, and it was very slow. It was very slow that if I'm working in a browser tab in Chrome, maybe I cannot open more than 2 tabs. If I open more than 2 tabs, the computer will start to slow down. And I use that computer to generate enough money to buy a bigger computer. So any type of computer you can use any type of computer to start your virtual assistant career. And the other thing, internet connection. Some places have better internet than some places. And so if you can invest in a Wi-Fi or router, then that is great. I wish I have my Wi-Fi here. I will have shown you, but it's not close. So if you can invest in a Wi-Fi or router, then that is great. That is going to help you have a much faster internet. But if you can't, then you can just use what you have. You can use a modem to connect to your computer, or you can even use your mobile phone data connection to use a hotspot and connect to your computer until you have enough money to buy a router or Wi-Fi to get a better internet connection. Okay, when you have the working tools ready, we get this out of the way. The next step is choose the services that you are going to start offering as a virtual assistant. As a virtual assistant, of course, we are going to offer different administrative tasks generally. But administrative tasks, there are a lot of administrative tasks. You can do data entry, you can do video editing, you can do audio transcription, you can do graphic design, you can do content writing, you can do proofreading, you can do email management. There are a lot of things in even administrative assistant itself. So the first thing that you should do after having the working tools ready is choose a specific service or services that you can start offering. And the type of service that you choose should depend on your learning capability. This is first, really, because if you choose to offer something complex, something that you have no background in, something that you know it will take you too long to learn, then you are setting yourself up for failure. For example, if you have no background in JavaScript and you decide to become a software developer, you have no background in software development at all, then it is going to take you a lot of time to learn anything about software development before you can even start offering to client. So you should consider your learning capability when choosing a skill. I always recommend new beginners to virtual assistant to start with an easy to learn services, something like Excel data entry service, something like proofreading, something like audio transcription, something like light social media graphic design, something like online community management, social media management, email management, calendar management. There are a lot of easy to learn tasks that you can learn within a few days, within a few hours really, to start offering. So this is what you should do. You should choose a service that is going to be very easy for you to start offering to client. When choosing a service, you should also avoid choosing a service that require an expert. If you're a complete beginner with no skills, no previous experience, no client reviews, no client testimonial, if you choose to offer something like, let's say, project management, usually the client who are looking for project manager, they are looking for someone with experience. And if you lack that experience, then it is going to be hard for you to find your first client to build credibility. And so you should also, another thing is also to avoid offering services that require a deep level of access to your client business. For example, if you start offering, or if you decide to become an online business manager, then you need access to most of the advanced software of your client business. You will probably need access to even their payment software. And you, as a complete beginner with no experience, nothing to show that you are credible, then clients are going to feel uncomfortable with trusting you. So it is going to be a bad idea to choose a service that requires a deep level of access to your client business. I recently did a video where I shared 5 best skills that are suitable for beginners to virtual assistants. I am going to put a link to that video in the description of this video. So if you have doubt, if you can't decide, you can just watch that video. It will help you choose the best services that you can start offering as a complete beginner to virtual assistants. Okay, when you choose the services that you want to start offering, the next thing is create a portfolio. A portfolio is like your personal showcase, is your storefront. Your portfolio is what your potential clients are going to look at to evaluate your skills to determine whether they want to work with you or not. There are a lot of ways to create your portfolio. You can create a profile in a freelancing platform, Upwork or Fiverr, and that can serve as your portfolio. You can also create a Canva portfolio, a website in Canva that is free. It will only take a few minutes, and that can serve as your portfolio. You can even have a portfolio in a PDF format, and that is also going to serve as your portfolio depending on the type of service that you are offering. If you are offering something creative, something like graphic design, then it will be a good idea to create your portfolio in a Canva website, and to also have a portfolio in a website like Dribbble or a website like Behance, because that is 100% visual. You can use that visual to attract potential clients. And if you have never had a portfolio, you don't understand what a portfolio is, don't worry, we are going to talk about it later in the video. So just the important thing is choose a services that you are going to start offering, and know that we are going to make a portfolio later in the video. Okay, the next thing that you should do is create a proposal template. A proposal is the initial message that you send to potential client when they are looking to hire a virtual assistant, or even if they didn't indicate they are looking to hire a virtual assistant. For example, if a potential client posted a project that they are looking for a virtual assistant, the message you send it to them is a proposal. If you are doing a cold outreach, you are sending emails to potential client, that email is your proposal. So you should have a template, more like an outline that you can use for every client. If you are offering graphic design service, then you know the service that you are offering. Then you can have a template that you can just fill in the gaps, so that whenever you are sending the proposal to potential client, you just need to analyze their needs and fill in the gaps with their name, the type of project they need, so that it reflects the actual clients that you are sending the proposal to. And don't worry about this also, because I have a proposal template that I personally use when I was looking for a client. So I'm going to put a link that you can use to download this pre-template in the description of this video. Okay, the next thing that you should do is you should determine your rate. You should set your rate, meaning how much you are going to accept from client. There are 2 pricing models. There is a fixed pricing model and there is an hourly pricing model. Generally, virtual assistants charge hourly, and I personally recommend virtual assistants, especially if you are just getting started, to charge hourly price. But it also depends. If you are offering administrative services, or if you are offering different type of services and you are not sure what a client is going to need specifically, then, for example, if you are offering data entry service to a real estate investor and they send you a data with 1,000 properties, and you should sort through the properties and find specific properties that meet certain criteria, then you don't really know how long it will take for you, because you don't know how many properties are in there, how many properties meet that certain criteria. So that is why it is a good idea to charge an hourly price. But what if you are doing something like YouTube thumbnail design? Then that is fixed. It doesn't change, right? You create one thumbnail, you can just give a fixed price. You can say I'm doing one thumbnail for $10, because that is fixed. It doesn't change. But generally, if you are not offering something fixed, it will be a good idea to go with the hourly pricing model. And the best way to determine your rate, to set your rate, is go to a freelancing platform, go to Upwork or Fiverr and search for other virtual assistants who are offering the same service that you want to start offering, and take a look at how much they are charging. And a best practice is to go with the average price. If the highest virtual assistant charges $20 per hour and a minimum is $5 per hour, then you might go with $10 or $15 per hour. That would be the average. Okay, at this stage, you have your working tools ready. You choose the services that you want to start offering. You have a portfolio and you have a proposal template, and you set your rate. The next stage is the most important stage, which is finding a client. And we are going to start with where to find a client. Where are you going to look to find clients as a new virtual assistant? I mostly advise new virtual assistant to start with a freelancing platform. And there are 3 major freelancing platforms: Upwork, Fiverr, and freelancer.com. I personally don't like freelancer.com very much, so I advise you should start with Upwork or Fiverr. And depending on the services you are offering, if you are offering virtual assistant services, generally Upwork is the best way to go. And if you haven't created your Upwork account, I have a complete tutorial on how to create a virtual assistant profile on Upwork. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video, so you can just watch that tutorial and learn how to create your Upwork virtual assistant profile very easy. Okay, the next place to find virtual assistant client is Facebook. You can use Facebook to find virtual assistant client, and a lot goes into finding client in Facebook. There are a lot of methods. You can use Facebook groups, you can use pages, you can create content. There are a lot of ways. So if we get into that, it is going to take us at least an hour to go through all of it. So instead, I have a complete video where I talk about the best way to find virtual assistant client on Facebook. I am going to put a link in the description of this video, so you can watch that video and learn how to find virtual assistant client on Facebook. And the next place to find virtual assistant client is cold outreach. Cold outreach is when you contact people who do not indicate that they are looking to hire a virtual assistant. For example, if you are offering YouTube services, YouTube related services, then you can just find YouTube channels who you believe they are going to benefit from your services, and you find their email address and you send them an email. You introduce yourself and your services to them. So these are the 3 main places to find virtual assistant client: freelancing platform, Facebook, and cold outreach. If you are a complete beginner, I generally advise that you should start with a freelancing platform. There are a lot of benefits to starting with a freelancing platform. Everything is just easier. It's just easier to build credibility. It's easier to process payment. It's easier to communicate. So you should start with a freelancing platform. Okay, I'm going to assume you create your virtual assistant profile on Upwork. And the next step is learn how to apply for jobs the right way. When you create your virtual assistant profile on Upwork, they are going to give you pre-connect, 50 pre-connect. Those connect is what you are going to use to apply for jobs. Some jobs require 8 connect, some jobs require 16 connect, some jobs even require more. So those 50 connect that they give you, you can use those 50 pre-connect to start applying for jobs. And when you exhaust those 50 pre-connect, then you have to buy connect to apply for jobs. But hopefully, if you do it right, you can find your first client with that 50 pre-connect, so that even if you want to find another client, you won't have to use money out of your pocket. And this is what you need to do in order to apply for jobs the right way. The first is make sure you have the right portfolio. Your virtual assistant profile on Upwork can serve as your portfolio. And if you follow the tutorial that I showed, then you can have the right profile that is going to serve as your portfolio. And even also, if you want to create a virtual assistant portfolio in Canva, a website in Canva, then I also have a tutorial where I showed how you can create a portfolio website in Canva within a few minutes, and you can just use a template. So I'm going to also put a link in the description of this video, so you can use it, create your profile, after you create your profile on Upwork, you can create also your portfolio website in Canva for free. Okay, when you have the right portfolio, before you apply for any job, make sure you have a high chance of getting the job. The way to make sure you have a high chance of getting the job is first, only apply for jobs to clients who are looking for a beginner. When a client posts a project on Upwork, they can specify whether they are looking for a beginner, intermediate, or expert. you as a complete beginner, you have no previous experience, you have nothing to show that will prove that you know what you are doing. Then if you apply for a job that the client is looking for an expert, you are competing with expert, and so you have a very little chance of getting the job. So make sure you apply for jobs to clients who are looking for a beginner. Also, before you apply for a job, make sure you understand the job description. You read and understand the job description. Make sure you can deliver the job, because some clients will have certain requirements. Some clients will even require a virtual assistant who speak a certain language, who speak Spanish, who speak Chinese. And if a client have this specific requirement and you do not meet the requirement, then if you send your proposal, you wasted your time. Also, some clients will indicate that they are looking for a virtual assistant in a specific country. And so if you are not living in that country, if you send your proposal, you just wasted your time. So in order to increase your chances of finding your first client fast, make sure you only apply to jobs that you have a high chance of getting. Okay, now let's talk about how to get paid. How you can get paid as a virtual assistant. There are two methods. There is an automatic method and there is a manual method. If you are using Upwork or Fiverr or any other freelancing platform, then that is going to be very easy, because the platform already have a process of making payment. The client will make payment in the platform, and you can add your personal bank account so that you can withdraw the money directly to your bank account. But if you found the client maybe in cold outreach or in Facebook groups, then that is really not an option, because if you find a client in Facebook, any other place, and you decided to take them to a freelancing platform, then you just need to know that freelancing platforms charge 10 to 20% for every project that you did for client. So if you take a client and use a freelancing platform, then you are giving away 10 to 20% of your earnings. So the best way is to use a system that is going to allow you to accept international payment. Depending on the country you live in, if PayPal is available, then great, you can just use PayPal to accept payment. If PayPal is not available, especially if you are living in Nigeria or other African countries, then PayPal is not an option. The best option is to use Payoneer or Skrill. I used Payoneer and Skrill for a long time, and I never had an issue with any one of them. So you can just set up your account in Payoneer or Skrill, and you can send a payment link to your client. That it works very similar to PayPal. So anywhere your client is in the world, you can just use Payoneer or Skrill to accept your payment. Okay, final important tip before we go is, if you want to succeed as a virtual assistant, you have to improve every single day. This is the only way to win in virtual assistance, because first, you are going to be making mistakes. That is inevitable. There is no way around it. And the only way to get better is to improve every single day. Every day, try to improve something in your portfolio. Try to improve your skills in the actual services you are offering. Try to improve your method of finding a client. If you do this, in no time you are going to be an expert. And one of the major challenges is learning the actual skill. And almost anything you can learn on YouTube for free. Most of the things I learn on YouTube for free. And if you intend to become a successful virtual assistant, you have to be comfortable with learning on YouTube. There is no way around it. If you rely on finding someone and ask them a question directly to teach you something, then you are in trouble really. Because being a virtual assistant, you are going to come across things that you don't know how to do every single day. Your ability to go to YouTube and find tutorial and learn how to do something, that is what is going to save you. So ultimately, if your willingness to do it is high enough, then you are going to figure it out. You are going to figure out a way to do it. Even if you start it badly, you made too many mistakes, you are going to be able to fix those mistakes. When I started in freelancer.com. I made way too many mistakes that I had to close my first account and open another account. And that's the only way to learn. I made the mistakes and I learned. That is the only way for you also to succeed. Be ready and willing to make the mistakes, and be willing and ready to improve something every single day. And don't forget, any resource that I mentioned, you can find it in the description of this video. So if you find the video helpful, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video.